What's going on YouTube? My name is Zach with Android Digest, and if you have a Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra, you're really going to want to watch this video because I'm going to be talking about all types of cases for that tablet, including the Samsung book cover case. I have the official case from Samsung right here. I also have the Samsung Note View case, which is great for those of you who like to take basic notes, and I have all types of other third-party cases. I even have some other Bluetooth options if you want a Bluetooth keyboard, because a lot of you don't want to spend $350 on Samsung's keyboard. So I have a lot of other keyboard options for you as well. So with all that being said, let's get right into it. So the first case I want to talk about today is the Samsung book cover case. This case is very familiar. If you did have the Samsung Galaxy Tab S7 or the Tab S8 or any of those other tabs, honestly, this is going to be a very similar book cover. Now, it's not going to be similar to the older tablets and the older book covers because this book cover does not cover your S Pen on the back. This does magnetize to the back of your tablet. People keep telling me I'm using that word wrong, and I do not care, okay? It does magnetize to the back of the tablet, and it does actually close the book part here. It closes over your screen. Now, it does protect the S Pen on the inside because it does magnetize right here on the actual case itself, so you can protect it. This case is very expensive. It does retail at like $100. Just keep in mind how thin this case is, and remember that you might be able to find this case a little bit cheaper on the used market. This is really for those people who want a super premium case, and this tablet, it really does feel very, very heavy, and if you put a heavier case on it, you're really going to notice the bulk. So this case, it actually allows you to keep a very slim profile. So this is a really good case. Of course, there are those minor cons. You can't put your S Pen on the back here without the possibility of it falling out. Yes, you can charge it here, but again, you could knock it over if you're not careful. That is a minor con, but at least you could put it inside the case, and I have to say the thinness of this case is a really big deal. It does actually magnetize to the bottom of the case in two different spots. So there's two different angles that you have, and those angles are enough for me. This actually works really well. Also, if you're using this on your lap, it's very sturdy, and the bottom of the case is very, very large. So it does give a good surface for this to sit on your lap while you're using it. So this is honestly my favorite case. Out of all of the cases that I have, this is my favorite because I want a thin case, I want a light case, I want a case that feels very, very premium, and I just don't want to add a lot of bulk when I'm using such a large tablet. So this is a great case, but it's too expensive. It does retail at like $100. Again, I would shop around if you're looking for a better price. Now, Samsung does have another case that a lot of you are going to love, and some of you are going to absolutely hate it. And that is the Samsung Note View case. Now, this is a clear case. If you take a look at it, it's clear on the front. This is almost like a screen protector of sorts. And of course, you have the same part on the back. So you do keep this S Pen right here. This does still magnetize to the back of your tablet. This is just like the book cover case on the back here. It just doesn't have any angles. It doesn't have any ways to put it on your lap like that. This is really meant for those of you who like to draw. So if I put the tablet in the case itself, this right here closes over the top of it. Now, when you close this part over the top of the tablet, this tablet will not work with any form of touch from your fingers. It will only work with your S Pen. So if you imagine you're writing on a piece of paper with a pen or a pencil and you hear a little sound while you're doing it, you even feel a little bit of the pen's movement while you're writing on the paper. That's what this case is trying to mimic. So if you get your S Pen out and you actually start to draw on the front of this screen with this screen protector part on, you're going to start to hear a little bit of that sound like you're drawing on a piece of paper. You're going to feel that unique feeling that you get when you draw on paper. Now, it's not going to be the same. Honestly, it does feel a little bit different. But your artists out there, those of you who want the feeling or the sensation of writing on paper, you're absolutely going to adore this case. But again, it is a little bit expensive. It's around $100 as well. The retail price is a little bit too high for me. And for your average person, this case is not going to be very practical because there's no magnetic angles to it, so you can't put this on your lap and prop it up while you're scrolling around. This case is purely to put on and draw on it. So if you're someone who draws on your tablet a ton, you may like this case. But otherwise, a lot of you can't use it with touch anyway with this screen protector part on. So a lot of you are just gonna flip it open anyway and just use it like this. There's not a lot of protection whenever you're doing that. Now, one other thing I do want to mention, it does look a little bit blurrier on the actual screen itself. This doesn't give you a perfect, nice, crisp looking HD feeling. It does look a little bit more blurry than the screen whenever you're using the screen protector. So that's just one minor thing to keep in mind. I still think it looks fine. I think a lot of you out there, if you're looking to draw on this, that's going to be the real appeal of this case, and it does good for that. It's just not my cup of tea personally. So I did order 2 heavy-duty cases, and one of those is actually meant to work with the Samsung official book cover keyboard. So that keyboard cover is great. It costs $350, and it's okay in some ways, but honestly, it's not that protective. And if you're one of those people who wants to use that keyboard, but you also want a more protective case or a frame around the keyboard, this is a really good option for you because, again, it's compatible with Samsung's keyboard, and you could take off that flimsy kickstand on the back that doesn't do a lot to protect your tablet, and you could put this case on and attach Samsung's keyboard with it. Now, I did not have Samsung's keyboard at the time of making this video, but I will say they did leave some extra room on the bottom of the case so that you could attach the keyboard, and it looks like it would work absolutely fine. So this is still a case I would recommend for those of you who want a heavy-duty case, but you also want to use that keyboard. Now, that case is made by a company called ZenRich, and I will have all the links in the description. And by the way, if you don't like the colors I'm showing in this video, a lot of these cases have different colors as well, so feel free to check out the color options and all the cases available. Again, I will list them all in the description. Now, if you don't have the book cover keyboard, don't worry about it. This case is actually made also by a company called Miesherk, and whenever they made this case, they made it to first off snap on the actual tablet itself, so you have these 2 pieces that snap together. Again, it works very similarly to like an OtterBox Defender of the past, if you know what I'm talking about. And once you get this case all snapped together, next you're going to put the rubber part on the case. Now, I technically don't know if this is made of TPU or what, but you have this black layer right here. It just wraps around the case, and when you put this case on your tablet, you're going to see that it will be very protected. This material does have a very high quality as well. I don't expect this material to wear down anytime soon, and when I look at this tablet in this case, it does feel very, very nice. It doesn't feel too bulky, at least for me. I do think it looks good. You also have this right here. You could actually carry this. Let's say you want to use this in portrait mode. You could actually turn it around and use it in portrait mode and hold it like this. You also have the kickstand right here. You could actually just put it in your little kickstand mode and it will snap into place there. And then you could have your tablet sitting up in one position, not a ton of positions, but at least it does snap into place and it will hold up your tablet nicely. Now, the downside of this, if you're trying to use this on your lap, this is going to be the only thing holding it on your lap. So you would have to hold this at an angle on your leg or something. It's not going to be very comfortable to use on your lap. That's one thing to keep in mind. But outside of that, I have to say this is a very good and practical case. You could hold this case with your hand if you want in multiple orientations. You could spin this around in different ways to get that perfect angle that you want. Also, this case does cover up your charging port. The speakers still come across quite nicely. But if you look at this protection, this is an absolutely great heavy-duty case. And again, I was shocked with how good of quality of materials that they used. Like, the materials on this case are absolutely great. So I would give this case an A+ for those of you who are looking for a heavy-duty case. And if you have the book cover keyboard, again, you could always get that other case, the black one that I mentioned earlier. But this case right here is still terrific for those of you who want that, but you don't have the book cover keyboard. And I should quickly add that both of these cases, both of them will protect your S Pen. So you see right here, there is a slot for your S Pen. That's really good news. And on this black case as well, you will see a slot to protect your S Pen. So those are 2 of the most well-rounded cases that I've seen for this tablet. Now, there are 2 other cases I got in the mail. Admittedly, one of them was sort of falling apart, so I don't even want to mention it. But I did get this case right here from a company called Soke. This is just a normal book cover case that a lot of you are are used to. It just flips over the front of your tablet right here, and it does magnetize shut. It does look very, very nice. I love this color, by the way. I know they have different colors for this case, but I absolutely love how this case looks. Of course, you do have your speakers that are open here. There is still a bumper on the side of this case, so you do have bumpers here. The one negative of this case in particular is that it doesn't cover your S Pen. So if you open up the case, there is no spot for your S Pen either. So if you're someone who wants to carry your S Pen on you, this case is not a great option. If you want to magnetize the S Pen to the top of your tablet, you cannot do that on this, of course, because the case is actually covering it. So you are going to have to put your S Pen here. Now, one thing I will say about that, even though it won't actually protect it fully, it is still a little harder to hit the S Pen out because there is a little bit of a larger ridge on each side. So if someone does knock it, you could see it's possible to knock it over. But if someone does knock it a little bit, it is less likely to fall out. It's actually going to take a pretty good amount of pressure to actually knock the S Pen out. Now this material on the outside, it is a little bit smooth, so it is a little bit tricky because it looks like there's this great texture to actually hold on to. I will say that this case is a little bit smoother, so if you're someone who likes that, that's great. I personally don't, but a lot of you do like that smooth texture on your cases. Now if you want to prop this case up, there are two different angles. Now this case is not magnetic, it just relies on the materials themselves to actually stop the case from moving around. And on the bottom of the case, you have this material that actually helps the tablet to stop in place when you're on these two ridges here. So if you are going to be a little more careful with your S Pen, I think this is a very, very good case option. It does give you those two different angles. I think that's good. It does protect your S Pen at least a little bit more than some other cases might, because it does have those extra ridges. And I just really like the look of this case. It does look simple, it looks elegant, but this case still has some function as well. Now I do want to quickly talk about Bluetooth keyboard options, and I'm someone who was really looking out there for Bluetooth keyboards because I really liked the S8 Ultra keyboard. I liked the Samsung option. I did make a video on it, by the way, if you do want to check out that video to find out more about that keyboard case. So for me, I was looking for a keyboard with a little more travel, and the first keyboard I found, it is definitely the most premium Bluetooth keyboard I've seen so far. That is the Logitech MX Keys Mini. This is a mini Bluetooth keyboard that's just a little bit smaller than this tablet, so it does fit very nicely alongside the S8 Ultra. So this keyboard is more than big enough for your average user. I know there's mini in the name, and this is a smaller keyboard than something like the regular MX Keys keyboard, but still it does feel plenty spacious when I'm using it. I could type very, very fast on this keyboard. I do get a lot of great travel on the keys, and also I have to say this keyboard does have great battery life. Now I have to say that with a caveat. If you do use the backlighting on the keyboard, that can drain the keyboard very quickly. You could lose battery life in this keyboard in like a week if you're not careful. But if you turn the backlighting off, this keyboard can last for like 6 months on a charge. And it does charge with USB-C, so you could use the same charger from your tablet on the actual keyboard itself. But this keyboard does run at like $100. Now I was able to find it on eBay for like 70 bucks brand new, and you might find it on sale for 90 bucks. Feel free to check those links down below. But that is a pricey keyboard. So if you're wanting a premium keyboard, you're wanting something with a lot more travel than something like the Samsung book cover keyboard, but you're wanting something that you could bring with you and even use with other devices on the go. If that's the case, the Logitech MX Keys Mini is definitely a great option. Now, if you don't care about the size of the keyboard, you might as well get the Logitech MX Keys. It's a little bit bigger, the battery life's going to be a little bit better, and it even has a number pad on the right side. Now, another alternative to that keyboard is actually the Logitech K380. I've mentioned it in almost all of my case videos, all of my accessory videos. It's one of my favorite keyboards because it's so darn cheap. It costs like $30. It does feel a little bit cheap, but it still feels very, very good to type on. I do have a good typing experience with it. Granted, the keys are circular. That does take a little bit of getting used to, but this is a keyboard that's really, really small. It's compact. It's actually very fitting for even something like a Galaxy Tab S8 or a smaller device. So I think this is a good companion to use with your phone as well. So I think the Logitech K380 is a good budget option if you're wanting to spend around $30 or so. And finally, Samsung has a Bluetooth keyboard as well. I can't really remember what it's called. I think it's called the Keyboard Trio or something like that. Well, this Bluetooth keyboard, It's average. It's not quite as good in my opinion as the Logitech K380. Remember, the K380 does run off of batteries. That's one negative thing with that. Well, you are going to see the same thing with this Samsung keyboard, but I will say this Samsung keyboard does have a button for Samsung DeX, so it's a little bit more built for Samsung, if that makes sense. It does have a little more of a Samsung feel to it. Now, the keys themselves, I don't quite like them as much as the Logitech K380, but they still feel very, very good. Just remember, whether it's the Logitech or the Samsung, you are going to get a little more of a plasticky feel on the keys, unless you're going to spend around $60, $70, or $80 on a Bluetooth keyboard. That's just sort of how it is. So these are great options for you if you're wanting a little more travel than the Samsung keyboard. You're wanting something that will work with other devices. I think whether it's the Samsung keyboard or the Logitech or the MX Keys Mini, all of those keyboards will work just fine. And I really like the MX Keys Mini. It's my favorite, but it does cost a lot, so that's one thing that a lot of you on a budget really need to be careful about. Now, I'm gonna link other accessories in the description below. I did use a screen protector, a tempered glass. It worked great with my S8 Ultra, so I'm gonna put that link in the description. And also, check out everything else there. Again, that is one way to support my channel. I spent a lot of money to make this video. I spent my own money to buy these accessories. So one way to support me is to use those links, or to leave a comment, to like this video, to share this video, and to subscribe to my channel. That again means so much to me as a creator. I hope you have a great day though. I hope you enjoy your week, and check out some other videos on the S8 Ultra or other devices if you get a little bit of time.